Lovely. We are here for the fourth session and the last session in the series of Building My Business. We started by talking, where do I play? Do I need to find a niche? How do I find a niche? Then we looked at, how do I play? How do I become more visible? That visibility was in terms of my capabilities. Then last time we spoke about how do I get visible on the social media. Throughout, we've been asking people to hang in any questions around the pricing. And here we are today to talk about how do I price my services. Please feel free to add in your question in the text chat or put up your hands as we go along. Yes, like always, I do have a set of questions for PK, and feel free to chime in as we go. So PK, my first question, and I think it's invariably the topic of the question. So how do I price my coaching services?
Yeah, Shanti, glad to be here. It has been a wonderful journey with all of you last almost a month now. Yeah. And just as usual, a couple of disclaimers. One is that this series is aimed at coaches setting up their own business of coaching, not for coaches operating through coaching platforms. And also the views shared here are purely personal, not necessarily that of ICF or, for that matter, ICF Bengaluru chapter. And Shanti, as usual, a request to maintain hygiene. Hopefully we don't have any woodpeckers or otters or such AI tools in the meeting room. So I prefer individuals being here. Okay, so you asked, how do I price my services as a coaching business or in coaching? See, first things first, before coming to pricing, we need to figure out what's my coaching session duration. So a little bit of nuts and bolts, and then we will come to pricing. So we need to figure out what is my sweet spot. What is my coaching session duration? And to a large extent, it depends on our call. You know, there are coaches who do 20 minutes to probably 90 minutes. So, or anything in between as well. So we need to see, for my chosen segment, for my positioning, for the kind of prospects that I am chasing, what is the appropriate coaching session duration. And the second most important thing is how many sessions a prospect need to go through to get the results that they want as per their Meta 3.1, the overall objective of this whole coaching exercise for that particular prospect. So how many sessions, how much time is each sessions? And that would, in a way, bring you what's the duration of the program. It's a multiple of frequency and the number of sessions. Frequency, again, is another very important call that we need to take in our business. Is there one size fits all? Not necessarily. So weekly sessions, bi-weekly sessions, 3 weekly sessions, or monthly one session. So that's what I call frequency. So the frequency and number of sessions that is needed to deliver the Meta 3.1 objective for the prospect. So that will determine how long the whole program is going to be. So in my case, for example, my leadership presence program, which is called Me the Leader, that coaching program is 90 days, 7 sessions in 90 days, one every 15 days. And each session duration is 90 minutes. So this clarity we need to give to the prospect, because they need to know what they are committing in terms of resources, not only money, in terms of their time. What's the time requirement between sessions? What's that they need to commit to go through this journey? And overall, we can call this a package, because this word we may use further when we discuss about pricing. So here we need to be clear about what is my package comprising of. Essentially, what is my session duration, how many sessions that I need to create a difference to the client, and what is the frequency that I want to follow. So all of this together creates kind of a package. Once we have this, and once we have the segment identified and the positioning identified, as we discussed in the first session, and we have some price points in mind. Then it is time to check it out through some discovery sessions. Again, with first those 4 or 5 or 6 people whom we know quite closely and quite well, who won't probably judge us and who will be supportive, So go and sit with them, explain them the positioning that you are going to follow and the typical problems and the values that your prospects are going to get, and the schedules and the session details and the nuts and bolts of your coaching program and the fees that you have in mind, and seek feedback. So they may give you feedback, which will give you some insights to, probably tweak it a little bit and then test it on some people. Yeah. So when coming to the pricing, when it comes to pricing, certain things we need to keep in mind. Certain facts and factors, I can say, we need to keep in mind. Price for coaching is what the client is ready to pay. I'll repeat that. The price for coaching is what the client is ready to pay. And that is the best measure that we can probably keep at back of our mind. And it's a fact, anything more than that, they probably are not going to bite it. Anything less than that, probably we are underselling, so that's what it means. And second, the buy decision of any prospect is based on perceived value. We talked about perceived value even in the second session, probably, I remember. So therefore, we need to constantly work on the perceived value of our offering, the perceived value of our package. The package, what I defined earlier. The third is ability to pay, simply the affordability. The segment, the positioning, their income, their budgets, their allocations for self-development, their allocation for something that is eating their head, and what they can afford, what they can afford in terms of the fees depends on the segment and the positioning that we choose. And then the willingness to pay comes. This is the readiness to pay. This is where the perceived value again comes into play. How valuable our services are. We can have endless lenses and endless views, but that has little to do when it comes to a buy decision. The buy decision is purely based on how they see it, how they value it, how valuable our services are in their eyes. Also, this is an emotional decision for the buyer. It's not purely logical, rational decision, the buy decision, I mean. So we need to factor their willingness to pay and actively work on generating it, creating it continuously, constantly at it, working on it. Perceived value. What is the perceived value that we are generating in the minds of prospects? This is where positioning and staying engaged with the prospects, knowing their terrain, familiarity with their landscape, all this will enhance the perceived value that we can bring in conversations and through our sharings in the blogs and all those things that we discussed in the last session. Another factor that can determine pricing is the target market itself. If we are targeting the leaders, CEO, CXO, or -1, or we are targeting middle managers, or -1, or we are targeting entry-level executives, of course, the price points are going to be different. So this is what we need to understand again. Then, are we a life coach? Are we a wellness coach? Am I a relationship coach? Or whichever specific domain, doctors, engineers, maybe, advocates, all have different appetite for pricing and different kind of affordability. And willingness to pay, we can still generate. But I am talking about affordability. The allocation for middle manager coaching is very different from allocation for leadership coaching, leaders coaching rather, or for the entry-level people coaching. This is what I am trying to differentiate here. And different price points, therefore, we need to be seized of that fact. Then the market pricing, there is already some pricing indicators in the market existing. So in our gathering of some market intelligence about our segment and our positioning, we can gather what is the competition charging and benchmark the competition pricing, the coaches who are already there or doing similar work and things like that. Yeah. And another aspect to all of this can be, again, depending on who is paying for it. The self-sponsored people may have a kind of price appetite. Company is sponsored and company is paying. Even in my cases, I give discount to self-sponsored people for two reasons. One is that they are self-sponsoring. Second is that they don't get GST set off. Whereas when company is paying, I have both clients. So when company pays, I have a different rate because they get GST, absolute total GST input credit. And the self-sponsored people don't get it. One, that is a cost for them. It is a cost for both. Nobody gains, but that is a legal requirement, so we don't bother about it. But still, I offer a discount for self-sponsored. So these are factors we need to consider, even if the person whom we are coaching is the same level. He is a CXO in a large FMCG. If the company sponsors, we may price it differently. If he is sponsoring self, we may consider pricing it differently. And these are some of the things. And geography, of course, if it is Mumbai or Bengaluru, probably the rates are a little different. If it is some other town, a secondary town, if you get somebody from Nellore or Coimbatore or Erode, yeah, probably you may have to do some, adjustments to the pricing. So these are some of the factors. I'm just putting it on table that there are many factors. I mean, already you might be thinking that there is no one size fits all and there is no one answer for the pricing question we all have in mind. And one encouragement that I have for our well-meaning coaches is that we need to keep our emotions a bit out of equation. What I mean by that, sometime back we said it is an emotional decision for the buyer. Now I am talking about the coach, me, we. We need to keep our emotions a little bit out of the equation of pricing. The reason I am saying this is that, for example, we are helping the second innings, employees. Second innings, what I mean is that people have worked for some time, taken a break, they are trying to come back to work. So let us say that is the niche or that is the positioning that we have chosen. There could be a feeling that already they are out of job. So what do I charge them? Yeah, this dilemma may be playing in our minds, but that doesn't support the business. This is what I mean, keeping a little distance between the pricing decision and our own emotions, making it a more logical decision in such cases that how do I charge them? They are already, out of job. They are not earning enough. How do I charge? Then that's fine if you are doing it as a social cause. But if you are looking for money, if you are looking for a business of coaching, then probably this thought doesn't help is what I am trying to say. I'm not discouraging people to do or from, doing it. Not at all. We can, of course, do pro bono work for people who are needy. But if you want to sustain a business out of it, probably you need to think different. That's what I am trying to say. So the bottom line of all this, what I'm trying to answer your question, Shanti, is that the price for coaching is what the client is ready to pay. And the more value we bring as coaches, the more a client is likely to pay, willing to pay. And therefore, we need to be mindful and conscious of the value that we are generating for our clients and how it is perceived. So a lot of it is how we can create that perceived value in our prospects.
Thanks, PK, for sharing all the factors, which includes audience, whether it is corporate, individual, the perceived value, the duration, the number of sessions, so many things. How do I know whether the price that I have arrived at is the right price for me? And a very related question that comes to me is, lots of corporates ask, what is your per hour rate? Then they will get into, once they'll evaluate, and then they will get into the discussion of, should we look at 8 sessions, 6 sessions, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months? So that discussion happens a little later. So how do you navigate this? How do I know whether the price that I'm quoting is right? And how do I navigate the discussion around pricing before it gets to the program design?
Prescription for disaster. That's all I can say. What else can I say? See, if we are working on or operating on an hourly rate, what it looks like, there are, primarily there are, of course, three methods of pricing, broadly I'm saying, hourly rate, which you just indicated. And the other is a retainer, so minimum so many hours a month, and I pay you monthly something, I pay you weekly something. That's another way of pricing. And the third is package pricing, where what we discussed earlier, so many sessions, and to get the client achieve that Meta 3.1, we assess, evaluate, and we create a package for that particular purpose. Of course, we need to understand at this point in time, and so is the person sitting on the other side, that there is no one size fits all. Yeah. Therefore, it is specific to the requirement. The pros and cons of these three methods, there are many. One can go through. These are all very, commonly available information. But to create here, to answer you in particular, to create value for ourselves, if we start operating on an hourly rate means what, Shanti? It means commodity.
Yeah.
It just means commodity. Rice, sugar, nothing right or wrong about it. Without that, we cannot sustain even. I'm not at all judging the method. But what I'm saying is that to establish a successful business of coaching, that is a kind of prescription for disaster if we have great ambitions about our business of coaching. The reason is we become a commodity. Hourly rate is commodity. They are going to just compare your hourly rate is X, his is Y, hers is Z, and we are going to choose one. What does it mean? What does it mean, Shanti?
They're not looking at the value. It's only price is important to them.
Yeah. Who is doing, we are not looking at.
Yeah.
And so far as who is doing, we are not looking at the other side, we cannot create value for ourselves. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If based on a quote, see, for example, until we have a chemistry session, I don't give my numbers to anyone. Until after chemistry session is done, I don't give my numbers to anyone because it is meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. I believe that. Since I believe that, I am able to convince them. First of all, we need to believe that unless I know the real requirement, the Meta 3.1, and where the client is and where the client wants to go, I cannot tell you what it takes. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So it's not that I spend half an hour and get paid for that. You are shooting on your own foot with respect to your value. So one insight that I need to probably share with all of you is that never ever put your cards on the table with your number and your fees and what's going to be coaching investment, because simply it's not possible. Look at it from that way. It's simply not possible. And they are not going to decide whether it's going to be 6 months or 12 months and 100 months or whatever. How can they decide? We are supposed to be experts. We are coaching. Yeah, you cannot go and tell a doctor, for example, that you do a 3-hour surgery. How many hours it's going to take, he is going to decide based on where you are. Yeah. Similarly, in our case, we need to decide what's it going to take for that journey, for that client in a segment that I know about. This is where first session, we all need to listen why first session is so important. That's why I cannot be an answer for everyone for everything. If I become like that, I become a commodity. Then you will be compared with X rupees, Y rupees, Z rupees per hour. And who is giving us least? Probably L1. And are we creating a reasonable, respectable market for ourselves when we operate on an L1 basis? Is a question that each of us have to ask. So my encouragement for everyone, for any day, any given day, even in sleep, I would prefer a package. Creating and articulating as clearly as possible the value that prospects are going to get by working with us. This is the closest we could get to a product pricing. See, the product pricing and services pricing, this is a dilemma, which is right from the beginning. A product, you have a cost, and therefore you know how much gross margin you're going to make, and there is transportation cost. There are many, many tangible things in a product pricing, the cost of making it, cost of selling it. But in services, it gets messed up, it gets missed. So it is a common problem with all the services pricing. Coaching is not an exception. So when we price services, when we package, that is the closest we can get to a product kind of pricing approach. Yeah. So my encouragement to you is that never give a rate as your hourly rate. And a coach operating on an hourly rate, even when you are waiting for the client, you should charge that, right?
Yeah.
So how does that look?
Interesting. I would love to do that.
And until we are past chemistry session, no one gets to know my pricing, and I decide based on what I told you earlier. If it is a self-sponsored person, there is no input credit. I have a kind of pricing for that. If it is a company sponsored, it's another pricing, of course. Even within that, Shanti, when the company is sufficiently large, I have a price. When the company is sufficiently small, I have a price. Because their affordability is different. I consider all that while giving the proposal. And once I have given the proposal, Shanti, we don't make any changes. Many people come back, but I politely say that, everything is factored. I do. But if they bring something to my notice that I have not factored, I am open. But otherwise, in chemistry session, I more or less figure out where they want to go, where they are, what's their size, who is going to pay. And based on all that, I create my proposal, and my fee no one can predict. This is another very important insight or a kind of hack that we need to operate with. No one should be able to predict my fees. Then we are giving control to someone else.
That's a very powerful statement. Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sandeep, I'm hoping your question, the follow-up question that you asked, is answered, and Rajneesh, your comment on consultants also charge hourly has been addressed with PK's views. PK, I'll take some questions in the chat and then move to the other questions that I have. So there are nuances: pricing for group coaching, team coaching, pricing for corporates versus individual. Then there's one more somewhere I saw. Yeah, how do you differentiate between these nuances? Individual, corporate, team, group. How do you figure out the pricing for these nuances?
See, the pricing in your segment, first of all, pricing for your segment and your prospects, you have a number. Let us say it is X. And if the company sponsors it or the hospital sponsors it for the doctors, you charge X plus GST is your wish. Okay, so that is a wishful price that you have arrived at after, all that what we have said so far. You have, you have factored in things, and you have arrived at an X plus GST for a company. Yeah, if the company is paying 18% is the GST. Okay, so my formula for if it is a self-sponsored, my formula is that I reduce 25%. Yeah, and add GST. So they may get something less than what the company price is. So, there is no GST thing for them. So 25% is what I give for self-sponsored people. And sometimes it may be 30%, sometimes it may be 20%. If the person CTC is quite high, I give just CTC, I mean, just give a GST waiver, not more than that, just 18%. So there is no one size fits all. I mean, where I need to give you is that what works for me need not necessarily work for anyone else. And similarly, what works for somebody need not work for someone else, you know. So this needs to be applied a little consciously, trial and error. And my encouragement for all of us is that there is no shortcut here. And there is no get it right first time kind of method, you know. It needs to evolve. The best that we can do is to get as appropriate as possible. There is no way we can get it right. You know, one of my very close coach, I think he is in this call. He always tells me, John, he puts a message as I am remembering about him. John tells me I am charging less. John always tells me in our private conversations that PK, you are charging less. So there is no right price, is what I am trying to say. I am 11th year, John is 12th year, probably 11th year, 12th year in practice. And we both have this conversation. And I don't think still we have got it right. I don't think ever I will get it right. What I can get is that as appropriate as possible in the given context. So I am not chasing perfection here, like in any other, you know, I never chase perfection anywhere. I try to chase excellence. You know, what is the best that I can do at this point in time? So it evolves. And what we can do is that we can be consciously looking at it, constantly looking at it, and be mindful of what works, what doesn't work, and make the amends as required and as open as possible. You know, one coaching assignment is not going to, you know, make it or mar it. You know, we may commit mistakes, doesn't matter. But the point is that how we are learning from those mistakes.
Thank you, PK. Thank you. Yeah, I think more and more I'm hearing you. Definitely that one size doesn't fit all message is embedding very, very deeply here. One more experience that I've had, and I'm sure some of the coaches have also had, is the request from corporates or individuals for free sessions or sampler sessions. Let me first experience your kind of coaching, then I will tell you whether I want to engage in paid sessions. What is your view on, should we be okay with free one sampler sessions, or is that not a good idea? How much can a person benefit in a session or two? Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, Shanti, if I may ask you, you know many professions around us, isn't it? Can you tell me any profession where you ask for sample surveys?
Only the ice plug will give you a very small taste. One good teaspoon he'll give you.
Okay, that is a product. Yeah, I think sweet shop, when we go, yeah, we take a little sample and buy. What else? Where else we get
products? I think that too, tasting, whether I want to buy this or buy that, when I'm looking at tasting things before I buy, I think that's the only.
No, yeah, theoretically you have a possibility of not buying anything and walking out also. Theoretically it is there, of course. But I'm asking in terms of surveys, where else do we do that? I can't think of any, so that I'm taking your help.
I can't. Can anybody think of a service?
And put it on the, put it on the chat box. Yeah, Johnny is saying something.
Yeah, so whenever I go for a haircut, as he's finishing my haircut, he gives me a sample of a massage, and then he'll say, would you like a good massage?
Okay.
So
interesting.
He makes me feel it for a while, and then makes me want it more, and then I sign up for, okay, apart from haircut, give me a massage also.
Interesting.
That's a service.
Sure. What else? Is there any other service that where we get a sample service? Stuti is saying gym. Okay. Okay, I think when she says gym, I think yoga also. You know, they ask to come for one day and feel it, and then, right? Sometimes the yoga teachers also do that. Okay, my view, I have never done anything like that so far. You know, I have never given any session free to anyone, unless I decide it will be free. I work with non-profit, that is a different, you know, issue. So I don't do it. I don't encourage anyone to do it. The point is that my thoughts around it, this is just an opinion. Yeah, it is just an opinion. We need to take it with that perspective. My view is that anyone coming for free will have a kind of mindset and a kind of context. And anyone who comes paid will have a different context and different context from which they think they operate and they take things. It is, it is, it can be argued this way, that way, but I'm generally saying. And yeah, at best a chemistry session, which doesn't look like a coaching session though it can look very much close to a coaching session. I use very, very close, kind of a, sibling kind of a version for my chemistry sessions, but it is still not coaching. What they get out of chemistry session is not exactly what they get out of my coaching sessions. So that being the case, chemistry session can be, the closest, but it is not a coaching session. So to answer you, I don't do it. I don't encourage anyone to do it, because people need to start having some trust. But I have another aspect to it. They can withdraw anytime. They can stop my coaching assignment anytime without assigning any reason. They pay the advance and start, and they can stop anytime within the 7 sessions. Anytime they can stop, and their money will be returned, not full. For the rest of sessions that have not been done, money is returned. I would advocate that kind of an approach better than offering free sessions, because free sessions, it is a slippery slope.
Yeah, very related question. Pradeep read my mind, I think. Isn't chemistry session a free session already? That's his question.
Yeah.
It is, yeah? Okay. Amlesh, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so no, I wanted to add that, the discovery session per se can be lot like a sample session, in the sense that while we understand what is their expectations, they also can get a sense of what they can expect from me. So that's kind of a, sample session to me.
I think we are all tending towards, yes, a free chemistry session, but the sessions are paid. You mentioned this, PK, when you were answering my first question on the process. There is this temptation or urge that coaches have to serve or give back to the community, and especially when their target audience doesn't, hail from very well-to-do families or organizations, and like you said, second innings kind of audience, then we are tempted to give pro bono sessions, jump into pro bono sessions and say, okay, I will do. You need free coaching, I will do. It does make us feel good. We can give ourselves a big pat on the back, but it definitely doesn't help our business. How would you say we address this?
Yeah, you have already said it. You can do it for your fulfillment. Yeah, as far as business of coaching is concerned, that's not something that you can look for long term.
But it is genuine, right? If there is somebody who's yet to start to earn, they can't pay, then what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. You do pro bono, you do non-profit. So you can have probably you can have 2 sides to your business. One is for profit, the other is not for profit.
Shripad, you want to ask your question? It's a follow-on to a question that PK already answered.
Yeah, this is based on what I posted on chat box, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One was there are two thoughts. One was if at all anybody is giving a free session, then you can put a clause saying if the buy decision is made, then the free session will be chargeable. Second is, in case we are putting exit clauses, so instead of exit clause anytime, are there any lock-ins? For example, you can exit after 3rd session. A second exit point could be after 6th session. Is that sound feasible, or it is something you have not seen in the field?
It looks possible. It looks possible, though I have not seen it in my practice, because I keep it absolutely open. totally open. They can pull the plug anytime. The reason it may work is that if, 2-3 things you need to see, instead of lock-in sessions, probably because once the client is switched off, he is switched off, isn't it? See, let's say in the first session, he is switched off. Even if you have 3 sessions lock-in, is it likely that he will or she will come for second and third session? Probably not. Yeah, they are not comfortable working with me. Why would they come? So in a way, you can convert that is that for 3 sessions, whatever you will charge may be something that you will withhold in case they decide to discontinue. So it could be probably termed it that way so that it sounds more logical to the people when they are signing up.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Thanks, PK. Sarah, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask, and it's more from a cultural perspective, I wanted to ask what is appropriate when working in India with clients. If you do a one-on-one discovery call with a client, do you tend to give the pricing out at the end of the session, or do you only do that in an email proposal after you've given it a thought? I would like to understand what is most appropriate to do.
A very, very good question. There is no standard practice as such to my knowledge. Either methods are fine, though I tend to follow the second one. Even in the chemistry session, I don't give away the price that I have in mind. When I create a roadmap, when I create a proposal, at that time, I factor things in my mind and then apply it. It might look very specific to case, and that is the way anyway the clients are. They are not standard commodities anyway. So both are okay in terms of practice, Sarah, though I tend to practice the second method.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The thing is, if you do the second, which I also do, is that you don't get any feedback if they would not feel comfortable with the price. So how do you handle that? Do you ask them for feedback after 1 week if you haven't heard?
Okay. So what I do is that I commit with them that you get the proposal within 24 hours. So in all my cases, wherever I do discovery session, chemistry session, I make a promise that within 24 hours, you get a proposal, and they get it. Yeah, most of the times they get it within 10 hours, 12 hours. And I also, in the same conversation, I also make them, let them know that how much time would they take to come back to me. So when I commit 24 hours, they are likely to commit 48 hours, right? So after 48 hours, I get get the key to follow up. So I follow up. So they give me permission to follow up after 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever it is. So I do that.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, PK. PK, the next question is my personal question. I started paid coaching while I was working towards my ACC. I picked up a rate and I was doing those. But now that I'm a PCC, my client isn't willing to change or update his rates. They're like, you've been giving it to us at this rate, and they're totally hung up on it. What can I do?
Yeah, I am with the client side. This is a market reality, Shanti. I think ACC, PCC, MCC is our journey, not as much reflection into the rates, unless you are operating in a very, very structured corporate environment where you are tabled. What I mean by tabled is that they put you in a cage and then they price you. So there are companies like that. My usage of cage is not to it is not respect. I mean, with any lack of respect for that. Large companies, they need a structure to operate. So they need this operates well for them. If it is an ACC, this is the rate. If it is a PCC, this is the rate. If it is an MCC, this is the rate. So those all indicate you are commoditizing yourself. So in a way, we are telling that we are a commodity. And when the moment we say we are a commodity, we have highest chance of being overrun by AI. The moment we are a commodity, we are at the risk of being overrun by AI when it catches up. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. The AI will just replace us. So there is no right or wrong in any of this what we are talking. We can be a commodity. Who said it is bad? Even commodity has its own usage. Commodity has its own advantages. You can get into those kind of large company, which I don't get into. I get empaneled, but when we get into discussion, I fall off because of these reasons. So that my way of operation is preventing me from working with companies like that, who have a rate for ACC, rate for PCC, rate for MCC, and then just goes like, that way we get tabled. So we need to chase such companies for assignments if we want that differentiation. In normal assignments, which are plenty in the market, they just don't bother even whether you are certified at all. Leave alone ACC, PCC. ACC, PCC in such cases is only like getting a driving license.
Yeah.
You are on the right side of the law. You know what you are doing. But for the client, doesn't make a difference. He or she is not even bothered whether you are certified. So that is plenty. 98% of the market is that. The 2% refined, coach-aware clients table you based on ACC, PCC, MCC. So we can choose where we need to play. So it is our first session again, that where we need to play. That's why positioning is very important. I don't get disappointed not getting into these large clients, because by positioning, I have chosen to be out of it. Yeah. So there is no point in chasing them, no point in repenting. So just to answer you, I am on the client side.
Okay, how do I renegotiate? Maybe we'll have an offline conversation. Oh, okay. If you have an answer, I'm willing to listen.
No, I think you should chase clients who are aware of ACC, PCC, MCC, and who are empathetical about this journey of yours, and who are willing to pay because you are more skilled now. You do coaching at a different level. So you may need to, in my view, you may need to chase companies who are more coaching aware companies.
Thank you.
So the companies on the other side that you are chasing, the prospects, you need to choose prospects who are more aware of coaching. Yeah. They may appreciate this.
Very related problem, PK, is this organized, unorganized coaching. There are so many coaches who don't believe they need a certificate, accreditation, training. They call themselves as purpose coach, life coach. They'll have a definition attached to it, but no credentials, no formal training. And you'll find both kinds of such coaches who will charge enormously, who will charge very less. How do we, as credentialed coaches, compare against them, and what do we do?
This is where we need to create the perceived value in the minds of prospect. We cannot differentiate. We cannot compete with someone, of that kind, or for that matter, anybody in the market. We compete with our own competitive advantage. We compete with our differentiators. We compete with our perceived value, what we bring to the table. For that, you need to create visibility. For creating visibility, you need to be familiar with the segment. For being familiar with the segment, you need to choose your positioning. Yeah. So people may see it quite abstract when somebody talks about, I have removed niche from my dictionary because of the aversion that coaches have towards it. I can use another word. It is my view anyway. So the right word is niche, but I am not using it because we as coaches, we don't like it. We just don't like it. So I am using the word positioning. Yeah, old wine, new bottle. So the positioning is required not because I like it. I didn't choose to position myself because I liked it. No way. It was a working back from exactly the question that you asked just now.
Yeah.
How can I differentiate myself? What kind of competitive advantage can I have in the marketplace? How can I create a perceived value different from those who are in the market? How can my voice be heard in the noise? How can I help my clients, separate signal from the noise? For that, what I need to do? How can I be more clear, more close to them? Therefore, how can I be more familiar with their territory? How can I create the top of the iceberg, therefore? And therefore, what kind of segment I need to choose work with? And what is the kind of visibility that I can create myself by sharing with blogs and articles and constantly being visible there, and how to occupy that corner that they are going to search. And therefore, positioning. It is actually working back.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Adil, your question.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shanti, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you so much, PK, for the wonderful session that is going on. We in India face, we are very much used to bargaining, right? And when it comes to our profession, negotiation is something which we also come across, be it the sponsors or be it the client himself or herself. So my question is, do I keep a buffer for negotiation, or how much I can reduce when it comes to negotiation?
What's your view, Adir?
That's what I'm pondering, do I keep a buffer for negotiation? Because corporates have the knack of negotiation, especially the procurement team or maybe the HR team. What has been your experience?
Yeah, I think my experience is absolutely that, we quote what we think is appropriate and hold. Even in early stages, it's not that I do it now, even in the early stages, because I have tried to be as authentic as possible in all my interactions. And, whether it is online, offline, anywhere. Yeah. So as authentic as possible is playing for long term, it is playing 5-day match. So as authentic as possible, also a part of manifestation is your fees, how much that you are going to quote and how much you are going to settle with. It's a very, very important manifestation of your, brand and your authenticity, right? So whichever aspirational brand, right from the mobile that we have, you can see what is the kind of discount that this brand comes with. You know which one I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And their product series and what is the brand that they have created. They also started from zero. And so that is the case with many of my my pricing is a price. That's it. There is not a single rupee that I am open to. I shared in one of the sessions that most of the clients fall off with the fee area. There is no question of lack of conviction about the results or outcome or the compatibility or anything, but only on the investment side. I don't call it price or I don't call it fees. I call it investment. So on the investment side, they fall off, and I'm okay with it.
Okay. Thank you so much, PK.
Thank you. Aparna, you want to ask your question now?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I actually had two questions. The first question is immediately in response to what you just said, PK, in terms of not bargaining. So do you see a difference in that approach? Somebody who is very well established, as you are, for example, or many of the other coaches are in this call, vis-a-vis someone who is just getting into the industry. So this no bargaining.
No.
Will it change?
No change, Aparna. Because
Okay.
No change at all. Because that's why I said even in the beginning when I entered the scene, I never bargained, or I never kept a buffer for bargaining.
Okay.
In the chemistry session, we get to know the situation very well. You get to know the territory, as well as you get to know everything that you need to know to price yourself.
Right.
And if you are priced still wrongly, then we need to address our internal process.
Correct.
Whether my price has remained the same, it is not. Whether my price in 2013 and 23 are the same? No.
Sure.
But in 13 also, whatever I quoted was a single price.
Okay.
There is no difference between a rookie and a professionally established player in this. We can price ourselves accordingly, what the client is likely to bite, for which we can factor in all these things that I told you in the first few minutes of our session today.
Got it. Yeah,
You factor in all that and arrive at a price and stand by it is my way of looking at it.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. My second question is regarding the package that you're suggesting is a good approach. Now, when each client is very different and coaching per se flows, based on the client. So sometimes clients will move faster, others will not. How do you design a package that serves all clients?
All clients from a particular segment, it is not as difficult as you probably are trying to think at this moment.
Okay.
From one particular segment, from one particular kind of prospects, working with them few months, few years, you can very well get to a rhythm that that you can dance with. So yeah, if I am going to coach the security guard of our apartment, I'm Narendra Modi, it is very difficult to assess what you are trying. That's why I won't do that.
True.
Yeah. So I would do coaching to CEOs, CXOs of large companies. So I have figured out over a period of time, and they won't change so much. But one session this way, that way, there were cases where we couldn't finish our agenda. I have offered one more session free of cost.
Right.
The 8th session, so that the client achieves his 3.1. I sometimes extend another session, just as a compliment in the larger interest of the whole coaching assignment. So you can make such things. And if you finish your M1 in 6 sessions itself, have another session. Client is not going to lose. He has enough issues to bring. So for the people who are moving fast, always you have more issues. For the people who are slow, you be a bit flexible. But it is not as difficult as you perceive. Once you start with your segment, and if you know the terrain of the segment, and if you know the prospects and their background, and you are familiar with the place, you will be able to judge it without much trouble.
Lovely. Thanks so much, PK.
Thank you, Aparna.
Shikha, you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. So my question is, as a new coach entering into the market, how do we benchmark for the pricing? How do we figure out what is the competitor coaches charging themselves, and then decide accordingly what should be our prices?
So you can do some penetration pricing there. Yeah, just Google penetration pricing. So you can do some penetration pricing and position yourself.
What is penetration pricing? Sorry,
in the interest of if there are more questions, if there are no other questions, I will explain what it is. Otherwise, it's quite easily understandable. Just Google it and penetration pricing. There are enough written about it.
There are a few more questions.
In the interest of that, can we make it that way, Shikha? And if we can have a one-off after that, after you have gone through that, you give me a call.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Stuti, you want to ask next?
Thank you so much. I put in this question but got missed. PK, how do you do or differentiate between coaching which is online coaching, or you do only the face-to-face offline coaching? And what does that element we can bring into the pricing?
For me, both are similarly priced. There is no difference at all.
Okay. All right.
And my clients come to my office for coaching, so I don't have any travel time. If that was your question.
Yes, because for example, if we have to travel to the city 3 hours, 4 hours,
and right from the beginning, Stuti, I am not talking 2023, even 2013 when I started coaching, January 2013, people used to come to my office for coaching as a new coach. It's all about how we communicate. I don't meet the coaches in their office, in their seat. Yeah. So when you say that, or when you tell them that it's just coming out, even they love coming out of their place and spend some time openly reflecting and thinking and things like that. So in my case, if your question was specifically travel time factoring in, then even when we have occasionally, I need to travel to Calcutta or Delhi or Mumbai for that matter, I have coaches there, I don't charge extra. They just pay for the stay and the travel. I don't charge extra.
Okay, thank you.
So for them, I am available wherever they are, but mostly they come here or we do online. Occasionally I go and meet them for a session or something out of 7. In that case, I don't charge that separately. It is just priced same.
Okay, and we don't have office. If you don't have office, then
yeah, I encourage you to look at some virtual offices. Today, you have a lot of shared workplaces. It gives you credibility. It gives you authenticity. It gives you long-term perspective. It gives a lot of credibility in the minds of prospects that you have an office. So you have a lot of shared offices which has a virtual office arrangement where you pay a very low fees and you can use 1 or 2 days, 3 days a month, one of their offices. And you can always use their common area and all that, which is far better than coffee shops. So I would encourage you to check out Regis or Spaces or WeWork or Office or, any of such places. All of them have virtual office arrangements. So I would highly encourage each one of us to check that out and go and operate from there.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, if we can have one more question, is that okay? Sandeep, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, thanks so much. And I'll keep it really brief. So actually I had 2, but I mean, if you can really do a super fast answer to both. So one was around this 3.1 that you mentioned a couple of times. Sorry if I missed the train earlier. Is that the end goal of coaching that you're referring to?
Yeah, the overall coaching outcome that the client is looking for.
Okay, great. And the other question, PK, was like, I really enjoyed the drift around building it as a package and how you kind of customize it for the client. But even while doing that, you do need to price or value your time to something, right? Only then will you be able to land at a potential package. So any guidance on how to value your own time as you design this journey for a particular client?
It's a tricky question. To value our own time, you can look at it in multiple ways. You can say how much is required for your sustenance. What is sustenance plus savings? What is sustenance plus big saving? So you could value yourself in that sense. How much must be my value this year? How much must be my value next year? So all these considerations can be put into it. Direct competition pricing might not be a template that it might work for us. Because they bring another kind of, our value perception or our value creation is very different from someone else. This is why always I've been telling, coaching is just a tool. Who uses the tool makes all the difference. Therefore, if we think we do a decent job at that, we should price it based on what is the value client is getting rather than what I should be paid or what is my last salary.
Awesome. Thanks so much, PK. And thank you, Shanti, for that opportunity.
Welcome. Thank you so much, PK. People, if there are any comments, no more questions, any comments, anything we would want to say to PK, who spent 4 weeks with us, helping us, building our business, I think he deserves it. Anything that people would want to say to him?
Thank you for sharing this pro bono, PK. I think you'd never charged us. And this is a wonderful session, all 4 sessions. And I really value it.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thanks a lot, PK. It was an amazing journey of 4 weeks and lot to take away. So thank you very much for your precious time and lots more for the coaching fraternity.
Appreciate that, Sunil.
Thank you, PK. Great. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek.
PK was amazing as usual, and I really love your conviction, the authenticity that comes out in everything that you say. So I'm really inspired, and we'll stay connected.
Welcome. Thank you, Yatish.
Thank you, PK, for this crash course of your coaching journey of 10 years and consolidating in 4 hours over a period of 1 month. I am specifically after recording this, we can always revisit and pick up from what's not working. It's really commendable. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Shanti, who created this concept and, who reached out, and we both designed this together. And thank you, Shanti, for having a great, host as well as person.
But I will take all the thank yous too. I can already see the chat filled with thank yous to PK and Shanti, and I'm very happy. Thank you. Glad you found it valuable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
so
Good
much.
night. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great week ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.